Woo. Is there going to be a freedom model trade?
Order submitted. Order submitted.
Okay, here we go. Back in and looking for at least the second, the other end of the spectrum. I'm going to find out if we get clapped pretty quick or not. But in my opinion, this just drops through. And ideally the other side. Let's go. There goes your other hourly open. Don't really want this rejecting here if it comes back up. Ah! I should probably still be in this. What did we have on that? 15 points. Didn't quite get my 20. But such a tight range that it achieved the objective. Ah, that's annoying. I still think that we get a little bit more of a pullback, but that's, yeah. Backtesting shows I need to be a little bit more aggressive in my profit taking once this has been hit. And now look at it go. Morning, good morning, good morning. I probably should have just taken the 13 or 15 points or been a little bit more aggressive on this wick. For that, that would have been 20 points as well. I got clapped in that too early. How did you get clapped in that? The model isn't hitting this candle. Right? It went straight up and then straight back down. Oh, this is gonna be, oh, especially if we take the CPI news, then I'm gonna look really, really silly. Really, really silly. Let's get it going. Oh. It's worth noting this is an actual pullback. Made a new high. We've actually broken structure as well. Our 15 looking very, very nice. You've got your CSD level here, in my opinion. That'll be important. Which coincidentally is your CPI candle as well. So charging towards it. Did we take that already? 57.50. We did. Good. We certainly did now. and looking for 51. Major miss taking it off there, break even. Or at least it looks like it. I mean, sweeping this out, strong bullish movement. We can look at this as being objective now. It's not as clear here. I did like this, but that objective's now been hit. Just not ideal. We'll see what this rally ends up bringing. I do think that we'll retest this 15-minute low. So look to position myself. Ideally something in here in the 80s, but... we're sweeping this out. That's good. We might get a test of 84, 83. And look for a reaction there to then run this 15-minute low. ES falling, which is lovely. Don't want to be too aggressive. There's your valid low. Yikes. Now what? Not quite into our opening range, so I didn't hit this just yet. I like that. We did get our sweep. Hopefully we get this being inducement, and then we run everybody out, and then we get some sort of failure. But this being this volatile, it certainly doesn't have to. Certainly can't go long. Looking for those 51s, but didn't get involved in the 80s there. Wanted it just a little bit higher. If we close underneath, that'll be important information as well, and we'll probably just dump. Probably just dump. ES has now taken this low out equivalently. NQ a little bit stronger. At least so far. We'll be shocked if that 51 doesn't get hit, but not going to get caught down here until I'm certain that we're going to let go. Neither one of them traded back into the... Actually, that's not true. ES actually did trade into the 9 a.m. range. That's strong. Yeah, we'll be doing it for this week. And then we'll see about stuff going forward. We'll be doing marbles tomorrow and Thursday as well.
Order submitted.
Yeah, if that even gets... I have to take that off now. That was late. That was late, and there it goes. There it goes. Okay. So we've taken our major 15-minute idea. If we're looking, this is an area of major interest overnight. You've got this major zone. This is kind of your last structural zone. So you've got a pretty decent spot at 106 for expansionary price movement. If you're looking, you've got this, right? We didn't trade down. You've got this. Still haven't traded down to it. This is your current swing, so we're now right at the midpoint of it. We've taken this liquidity. If we get some sort of strong reaction here, I'll actually be looking for a decent long. But the main concern is if our 15-minute CSDs or not. And now that we've taken all of this liquidity here, assuming we close back up, if we want to close back up, then we're quite happy. It's a nice strong candle. Determining if this is an inducement or not. That'd be an inducement on a 15-minute time frame. Not exactly ideal. Missed one short. Really want that one back. But here we are. Good morning, below. This would be your SNDR as well. So that's the area that price made a decision to then take this CSD low. 3 minutes left on this 15. Jutting up into this fractal now. If this 15-minute can't CSD, then we remain bullish despite this pullback. We would expect a reaction from this area right now in the mid-60s. Let's see what we get. Good morning, good morning. Man, little too quick. Just too tight of a 9 a.m. hour and got a little too soon. ES extremely weak. This, because that high is 83.75, this one's 84. This is actually a structural zone. We would expect some sort of reaction from it. But I can't take it because it looks like we're failing 15-minute areas. So we'll wait and be patient. Ideally, we come down and we have some sort of failure either in this fractal here or something telling us it wants to come back up, perhaps even to the 9 a.m. range that we didn't really get. Likely stalking along, depending on what goes on here at 51.
Order submitted. Order submitted.
And I want this to shove. I don't want it getting held up here for an inverse smiley. The idea is the 15-minute has failed. That was the retest of it, and now we're flying. In reality, I probably should take a little bit more than 20 points here of profit. For the same reason that this short, had I held, likely would have done the same. There's your new 15-minute candle opening. We're going to find out what the day's personality is like. Seeing a little bit of a reaction in the mid-60s. I want to push through this area. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. At least take that high.
Order canceled.
Boom. Day 2. Here we go. And you might wonder, why only 20 points or why 10 points or whatever. And this trading this week, no, I mean, I'm copy trading to PA accounts and whatnot, but how we're trading this week is designed to pass evaluations for you guys this week. So we're going for high probability base hits depending on what price is telling us it wants to do. Right? So made about $480 yesterday per account. And up about the same right now. Thanks to that recent trade, but the actual story isn't even that. The actual story is we were involved in trades yesterday, and the volatility tightening up, or all-time highs, or whatever. I'm not making excuses, obviously, but being involved long, where we were long. Oh, it's Friday. That's not even the day I'm looking at. Yeah, we were long here. Didn't deliver nicely for my system. Right? We failed to make a valid low in here and took that off for small. And then we were long actually here, and by the time we actually started to get going, this was just poor execution for me, this one. But my point is that our analysis and everything else has been very, very strong. So we expected this move, especially creating this, to break this structure. The fact that it didn't means that we don't trade back down to it. It's very, very different going along here, expecting something to happen, and an objective that's been unmet, as in trading back into this candle. Very, very different than going long in here now. So valid low, valid high. If we create another valid low, we're either inside of a range-bound environment, and people will be buying down here and then selling it likely up here, or we've actually changed and we're likely going to be using this area to break structure, maybe trade back in, challenge the highs. ES is not following suit, but you see NQ is far, far stronger. Yes. Yes. So if you're looking at it, this is actually a bullish candle. So that's a CSD, or the CSD failed to break structure. Now, I don't know if Les mentioned it, but there's an announcement that's going on. So the CSD video, which essentially is going to be the cornerstone. I didn't think that we'd be doing a model video that was going to be better than the Wombo combo. I really didn't. I thought when I made the Wombo combo video that this was how the market moved. We're looking at energy of the move. It's everything. And in reality, I mean, part of that's true. Like if you're looking at this, okay, cool, right? But like that didn't break structure, so now you're kind of, this is a little bit less attractive. The point that I was trying to make earlier was that if this doesn't break, we're in a lot of trouble from the bear side. As violent as this looks like. We've got this zone here. That's it. Right, that high was 173, so this is actually the current swing. Right, if we're looking at structurally, then we're looking at this. So we very well could look lower, and then in which case you've got a CSD which has achieved its objective. So we would not be looking short in here. You only need a high probability 20 points. In fact, the Freedom model would have given you that this morning. I just didn't like how it swept this out. So that was a little bit of my my psychology coming in, and yet the model itself would have paid quite handsomely today. This is still a little odd to me, right? We've actually tried, well, we haven't tried CSDing on ES yet because there was no buying that took place in here. You got a little bit of an internal movement, but this is a little bit unclear. And I think the reason is because we've now created that valid low inside. So we're not really wild about the range-bound environment if you're looking short. We are still bearish structurally, but I think we've entered more of a range than anything else. I'll be very, very patient. I'm likely going to let this shake out a little bit if I'm going to take another trade or not. And the idea, again, is that if you're passing, especially if you're passing fast tracks, I think the only ETF fast track is 100K. So I think 100Ks are actually not the best account. The 50s offer you what? You have to make 3 before you lose 2, so that's what, 1.5. The 150s are the same sort of thing. You got like $5,000 to make 9. The hundreds are like 2 to 1, so that $3,000 goes pretty quick if you're not spot on. That's an interesting candle as well, right? We're starting to actually, if you're kind of looking at this range here, buyers are starting to step up a little bit. So I think something important is going to happen here pretty quick at 9:30. You used to show your account, why not anymore? I did show it. We were on trading Tradeovate. I'm giving daily updates on sort of what the fast track is, and I can actually pull that up right now. Let me see, where is it? I don't know if you guys can you guys see that? No, probably not, eh? Let's see if I can get this. Bear with me 1 second. There we go. And then I should be able to add that to the overlay. There. So this was the fast track that we started. $2,600. I need 6, I think. Not exactly the highest win rate, and part of that was yesterday. Break-even trades not And then the short ended up not working out, obviously. But the idea is these sort of base hits. I don't know where the max drawdown comes from, but not exactly ideal. Not exactly ideal, but we're getting there. Yeah, this is still sus. Still sus inside of a range. Brian Stonk said ETF was a scam firm. Yeah, the interesting thing, and I did some digging as well because we've never partnered with anybody in our group either, right? And part of that reason is because I wanted to make it extremely separate. What we make from affiliates, which isn't much, but that we operate on, we can trade, our money comes from trading. Anything outside of that is sort of gravy, and we put that back in, we're happy, right? So, okay, let's do some giveaways per month or per week. A lot of that comes from ETF because we don't make tens of thousands in commissions and whatnot. We wanted to keep that separate. So when we made the decision to partner with a firm, it wasn't just, you know what, like let's look at some affiliate money or whatever else. It was, let's look at them as a team. Let's look at how they support people. Let's look at where they're going and go from there. And what I really liked was that ETF has traders on their desk, right? So that's a benefit to Brett Simba as well in Tradeify. But that they're actually in the markets trading and they kind of understand traders and what they're going through. But I think, so circling back, we did a lot of looking into a lot of the past with ETF. And there was some people that claimed to not get payouts and whatnot. And we're kind of looking at that, okay, well, that's obviously a red flag, but what exactly does that entail? Why are they being denied? And usually it's, well, I heard of a friend that has this, or I have a friend that does this, right? Because Canwall was kind of going after these people going, okay, well, like, message me with what's going on. That's weird, right? And I know that VPNs were a major reason that people got declined from payouts. And I can kind of understand both sides of it. If you're a firm and you have that as a very, very clear rule, then, you know, you kind of have to err on the side of the firm. But they weren't declining payouts from what I did on research just because people were running up balances, which was the important thing to me. And so, okay, so let's see what that's like personally. Okay, so we've got payouts from them. No issues there. We had people in our group that got payouts from them. No issues there. And that had nothing to do with us being partnered. It was just their sort of normal operations. And certainly in the last month and a half, 2 months, they've tried doing a lot more in terms of social media and how they're approaching the community. And I mean, this isn't, like, I would say this even if we weren't partnered with them, right? Because full transparency, we don't make a ton of money from being partnered with them. In fact, they're giving us accounts to give away for you guys for the week, right? This is just dropping. They, I would say this anyways. I think that there's really no real reason that they shouldn't be similar to where Apex is in terms of structure. In fact, they have the exact same structure of how to get payouts from them. 8-day windows, the low barrier to entry, which is huge. There's no real, like everywhere else, essentially you're paying $100 for an evaluation. You have no activation fee. That's cool, right? Like I can understand that. But that's if you pass. So if you're a new trader, that I can understand that being attractive. If you're a trader that can pass evaluations, well, now you want, essentially, at worst case scenario, if you're going like sort of rapid fire where you're like, okay, max size, let's try and pass an evaluation so I can get back to funded. and then base hits for a payout or whatever the case may be, then you want a low barrier to entry, and then you only activate the accounts that you pass. That keeps your overhead very, very low, right? If you're a new trader and you kind of take a week or two to pass an evaluation, which is cool, that's kind of the way that I would approach trading if I was starting over again. Then what do you want? Well, you'd probably want the lowest cost all-inclusive, which is actually there as well, right? So I think their 50Ks are like $16 right now with their sale, which is probably the best for newer traders to go on. And then, woo! I probably could have hit this short while I've been yapping, just because we wanted this to at least continue with the range-bound environment, and this definitely did not support that. Now we've taken that low. ES just falling through. ES just falling through. They denied my payout, changed the policy, they went back and reinstated my accounts and paid me out. That's actually insane. That's actually insane. And that kind of highlights a lot about what I like with them, right? There's stuff that they do for us in groups where we've done giveaways for people, and I've went to them and I've been like, hey, I actually messed up this giveaway. This person got an account, but I did another giveaway because they weren't there, but they were actually having personal issues with their internet. Can we do something here? They're like, yeah, here's another account for them. Like they will go out of their way to help people or pay people out. And that's really, like, if there's one cornerstone on how to pick a firm long term, don't watch how they treat you when you're starting out or when you're struggling. Because every firm is behind a trader who's trying to pass a combine or whatever. Watch how they treat you when you're starting to make money. Right? You get Apex that will send you emails reminding you, hey, you're close to a payout here. Or, hey, you've made a lot of money, we're now going to review your accounts. Right? While you're sitting on 500 grand or something like that. You know. It's quite the opposite when you're actually making money and they're like, hey, congratulations, let's go. This is now 10 a.m. We have CSD'd on the 15. I'd still want to see what goes on in this. I'm not wild about this price action. If you're kind of looking at this, this is actually 50-minute structural low as well. And this is kind of your inversion here. I don't really trade off of inversions unless it's lower time frame, and that's just basically how I look for delivery, but we'll see what goes on here. Who's coming for the giveaway tomorrow? By the way, speaking of you guys that are in here. I'm always here. Hey, Matthias, nice. Yeah. You've won one though, eh, Matt? You've won one, haven't you? I'm still waiting for that first one. One back in the day. Oh, those were the days. Those were the days. I still remember that one. Yeah. This is looking a little sauce. So trading underneath this structural area of interest, not exactly displacing. You got your AM low here. This is now your new, that's a 5-minute sweep as well. Probably could be a little bit aggressive in this movement, at least back up. You probably will take this high at minimum at 47s. Very likely to take something at 56 as well, especially given how violently this is. I didn't win one then either. Yeah, I know. We've kind of gone through a little bit of a roller coaster, haven't we? The initial marble races from like inception were, there was like 70 of us when we first started. There goes your 56 high. And the reason we're looking at this is because this is sort of your manipulation leg, right? From an intermediate time frame perspective. Again, failing this 15-minute low, not good for bearish price action. This is structural. These are not. This is your CSD, but if your CSD does not break and hold underneath structure, we're looking for displacement. We want gone. Otherwise, yikes. I mean, we got a 50-minute CRT high at 84 now. ES looks like it's about to flip as well. Zoom into that. Aggressive trading seems to be paying out very, very well right now. We'll see if we get something stabbing back down into this. That 61.25, 61.25. So we actually closed at this high. Otherwise, we considered using this. You probably still could if it wants to expand very, very quickly. Then we'll sweep underneath this and go. In which case, I will not be involved. ES has flipped, trading back in. Now, you could argue as well, this was a valid area, or at least this was. Well, that's actually not true. This was your valid area, and now we've left it. Not quite low enough for me. If it runs from here, I'm not in part of it, unfortunately. Looking to see what happens when we stab back down into here, if we stab back down into here. This is a double bottom. We haven't created any new area of interest. It's still... yeah, it was this area, but now we've double bottom. So in theory, we should run this 84.75, which I think is that 50-minute high as well. Want a little bit deeper than 51.50? Don't do it. Don't do us. Don't do us dirty. Don't do us dirty. In theory, could hit that off of that hammer, but not the price action I'm really looking for. I like how it's supporting this breaker, but was looking for a little bit more of a flip. Not being forced to trade in here at all. Already up significantly. But if another trade does present itself, then cool. Ideally, this will not push above this and close because it wants to trade back down. That's ideal because I'm not involved. If you guys are already involved, then you're obviously sitting quite happy and you're looking for the 80s. And I think if it does come back down, then it showcases why I think the majority of traders don't make money when VIX is underneath 17. I don't want to be in a position where I need the trade to blast for me to make money. Obviously, it's ideal if we're involved, but didn't get it. Looks like it's going to expand to the 84s and then beyond, perhaps. I'm not going to take any scalps in the 70s expecting that to go, but if you guys were long, then you're obviously quite happy with this. That wasn't really what I wanted to get involved in. I wanted at least a sweep of this 5150, didn't get that. ES looks like it did it instead. So I probably could have recognized that and been a little bit more aggressive, but how about our analysis, lads, eh? How about that analysis? And again, 15-minute low. 15-minute low swept. Now looking at the high. Just took it. And beyond. Watch the entire thing. Couldn't get involved. Didn't want to hit it in here. Wanted something a little bit deeper. That's obviously gone now. You got 3 minutes left. Ideally, we close above that. And then you might trade back into this area here. This is now a 1 minute structural break, which we anticipate. Why? Because we have a double bottom. This is the power of double bottoms. It's not just a reversal. So you got your lower time frame one here. What's that purpose? Well, it's going to send you above, right? It's going to send you above your manipulation. And then you have an intermediate time frame double bottom. That's your intermediate time frame failing. So now these highs get cooked. Happy days. My guess is we've got our 930 high. We've now failed our 15-minute area of interest. That means at worst we're inside of a range still. And we'll probably retest the 200 level. There's a major area of interest here. If we mark that off in the morning. So let's mark like this. I'm not going to be looking to short from this area. This is just the target I think that we're going to retest to, this candle. A lot of people underwater from this morning, they don't care. Yeah. Yeah, and that's cool, right? If you don't like it, we're not involved. Right? For the same reason that I let this walk. And I think newer traders would be like, well, if you know where it's going, can't you just get involved somewhere and not really care? And that's true if you're going to risk accordingly. Like say, I don't know, I hopped in here. Whereabouts is my stop? It can't be invalidated here because I'm expecting it to trade back down. So in reality, my stop would either be like something down here or something here. And now, fair enough, if I'm expecting this. But even then, that's 1.5. That's not to suggest that you can't get little scalps or whatnot, but if you're looking for directional movement, I think the only clear trade, even that I don't think was that clear. This certainly wasn't. Shorting in here. You would have been hard pressed to really find an A+ setup in this. There was no flip and then flip back, right? In reality, this maybe, but that's very, very aggressive in there, given that we just flip back the other way. a lot of this is not ideal delivery, right? Would have wanted something similar to, like, even that intermediate time frame is very, very sus. I wanted something like this, and I would have hit that long, right? So we could analyze, you know what, this is going above this high when it's trading here. Getting involved is something else entirely. And as traders, we obviously try to get involved in the moves. And it's not much solace when I think we're up, what, 450, 460 bucks today? Right? It's not much solace to be like, you know what, I know where it's going, but I didn't take any or get any money or get any paid from it. But our job is to make money consistently. Right? And then consistently you're looking at this and you're going, well, how did they know there was going to be a reaction from here? How did they know this was going to do that? How did we know this was going higher before it ran it out? That was the only trade I've taken so far. Well, that's not true. Actually, I hit the Freedom model and was up 15 points and took it off like a fool. Looking back, shorting here and taking it off in here. Annoying. I do think that we probably take this high if we don't CSD here. If we do CSD, and you're seeing that price is accelerating to the downside, so something going to happen here very, very quick. If we close underneath here, you might get it to jam back up to that fractal and then send us back down. Whether that sends us back down to this or we actually really want to run lower, we'll find out very, very quick. Session break, we in here now. What's up? C trades, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Hopefully you're green, my man. Right? So accelerating, how do we predict this? Because that's where the volume is. Right? We don't know. We don't know if, otherwise we just hit this with 10 cons, max size, and away we go. Right? We don't know that this is going to just drop or whereabouts that's going to. We can look at these areas and then our job as traders is to determine our entry model from it. So ideally, we get a reaction from this. Ideally. Because we've now flipped. And that flip has barely traded back into this area of interest. You'd even argue it's actually from that high to here. So our job is to determine what exactly that looks like. So imagine there's just energy pushing, constantly pushing. So you got energy from here, and you got energy from here. And our job is to figure out which one's stronger. And when one is stronger, usually you have very fast movements like this. People did short the hell out of this here. And you can see that there. And it did nothing. That actually tapped back in and having a bit of a reaction. I'm not sure, as you guys can see. But we expect these reactions, and then our job is to take trades based off of how that works. ES traded back into this area. So I'm a little bit hesitant on this here, but I think ultimately our concern is if we're going to take this AM high or not. How'd our 50 minute? Our 50 minute closed above. Right, so valid high, valid low, probably inside of a range. Let's get rid of this now. Can't go long. Definitely can't go long. So additional confluence of how violently we move away, right? So we want to determine if this move here is initiative or determine if this is just a pullback. That's where we get our lethargic movement, which leads to a double bottom and then flies. Typically, I would be a little bit more aggressive on these trades with the double bottoms. Right, I think we were yapping on that. I don't really know what we're talking about, but this is looking very, very sus. This is looking very, very sus for bears. Right, that was a pretty major attempt to sell off. I think we probably will take this high at 98. Didn't get involved in it. Again, seems to be my theme of the day, but I'm not really seeing anything that's fitting my A+ criteria. And in reality, I could just hit this, but I'm hitting into a flip, expecting the flip to fail. I do expect it to fail, but as we're up on the day, already hit our goal, very, very cautious on it. I think stall candle, you'd be hard pressed to not get involved. So perhaps a sweep. Yep. I do think it runs at 98, and you're likely going to take this high as well at 210, but certainly this one here at 206. If you guys are long, I would obviously, this double bottom should send us above this, but if you're involved in the mid to low 80s, I'd be a little bit cautious on what goes on above this high. You want this to validate ideally at 92. Important reaction now. If this is violent, that second distribution, I'm not going along anywhere in here. This double bottom just sending you back up. We would expect this high to go. If we don't, and it looks like we're not, depending on what happens with this candle, that was violent, no real reaction from it. If I was involved, I'd probably have been break even, unfortunately, on this. That's not to suggest that it's not going to work. It's just not what I wanted to see. Yeah, exactly. So how would I have gotten involved? I'm actually waiting for it to trade down to this. And I think that aligns as well if you're looking at this being fair. Surprise, surprise. Right? Surprise, surprise. So we'll see if we get something back down to the mid 60s or not. And you have to ask yourself whereabouts the liquidity is. We've actually swept out this candle here, but I wanted this candle initially. I don't think we'll trade underneath 51. In fact, this is, if you get a stall candle here, that's going to be gross. Just churning through shorts before squeezing them if that's the case. And I'll have to watch that go, as I'm not getting involved here on the flip. I need something a little bit more conclusive, because this should have already ran it. The fact that we failed here and are coming back down, if there's orders here, cool, right? If there's orders there, then awesome. But this to me should have already done something, and it didn't. That means this low at 69 is weak. So I expect it to get taken. And if I'm wrong, then I sit out. That's the only thing I can control. But if I'm right, then we're looking at running these guys out into here and then a movement back in, which would be beautiful. Watching, waiting, watching, waiting, watching, waiting, watching, waiting. Eyes are on ES as well. It looks like it's going to run it in tandem. There's 60s, 67. Whoop. Violent. Violent. Oh, did I miss it? Maybe.
Order filled.
We're going to find out pretty quick. That's a violent move on ES. This is very violent on NQ as well. We'll see if we get a stab. I don't want it to respect 75. I want it to blast through it. Let's go. There's our 80s. Need a little bit more than what it's doing right now. Giving it a little bit of time, but I don't want to give it too much. We're seeing a lot of selling coming in. Really good pressure actually from those high 70s. Want it to lift now. I think if it trades through this candle, I'm probably flat. Lot of sell pressure. Let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. No,
Order filled.
I don't like it a lot. Take that off there. Just too much sell pressure and ES having difficulty as well. Very, very protective, mainly because we're up. Got the trade that I wanted, just a little bit less of a base hit than ideal. If you're still involved, you might be looking for this high, and I think that's fair. You could actually be looking, in theory, for all of this, and I'm just out too early. Too protective. But I really didn't like how this was reacting to this twice selling off, and now just looking silly. Ugh. Yeah. There goes that high. Just had to shove it a little bit further, and then we'll see what goes on. Just didn't like how weak ES was moving in tandem. So spooked me a little bit more than it should have, perhaps. Did you guys hit this at least? Or at least do we understand why we're waiting in there? Yes, no, maybe. Oh. Yeah. Maybe quite nervous, and perhaps it shouldn't have, but I didn't want to get caught in this, reacting to this and being second distribution. which is the danger when you're hitting these long. So we're kind of looking at this being a range. Swept into it, cool. I think my entry was actually in the 67s. I would have much rather it be the low 60s and been done. But, yep, fair enough. I think if this does flip, like, I just don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. That was my daily. Nice! Wanted a little lower reaction off of that imbalance. You're talking about in here? That's kind of your breakaway, though. Like this should have been hit here. Right? Now we're kind of looking at this now. Right? So stabbing down into that. We've now swept out that 5-minute low. Reacting off of here. And ideally this puts in a new high. But perhaps a little bit too preemptively, I was looking at this difficulty. And sort of theorizing that ES should be moving a lot better. It's now broken its morning low. We'll see if NQ ends up giving you your imbalance or not. 10:32, and yeah, this is exactly why I got out early. Which is cool, Bull, Kev. Like, talking about it in hindsight, man. But you guys trade long enough, you get spooked. But if you're spooked for the right reasons and not emotional. If you're in here and you're like, I'm up 10 points. I'm up 10 points. Do I take it off? Do I not? Do I let it run? What am I doing here? Very, very different than if you're going, you know what? It should be doing this. And it's not. Why? This is why. So it's that discretion that you're adding into your thought process and your system, but you're taking emotion out of the equation. There's nothing to suggest this can't be a trade. This is Matt's area he was looking for. Right? And like for me, this should have been like this. And then we're kind of looking at, you've got no 15-minute imbalance there. You got your first 5, fair enough. If we end up trading into both and then that respects that low, then you're going above here. No questions asked, and you're happy. Right? For me, $600 per PA. Another $1,200 to our fast track. Right on track to passing that this week. Hopefully you guys are flying as well. I'm gonna log off before I give any of it back, and we'll just watch for the next half hour. Give him 190. Give it to him. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Boom, 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 boom. That's the way to do it. De-stress, de-risk. You got 10 seconds. Hold that 5. Hold the line. Hold the line. Let's go. Hold. Hold. Let's get Matt some stuff, shall we? Is that enough? Yes, pull it. Need a bigger magnet. Here we go. Here we go. Hold. Push. Oh, need a bigger magnet. Go, 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 go. Bzzzt. These are nasty. I think it should take 183. You kind of want a bit of a stall candle coming in, or at least like an attempt to fail, which sucks, right? Like something like this, which then drives price higher. Because otherwise, you've got people that are shorting this, going, well, this is bearish, or at least their algorithms are like, hey, it's bearish. Yeah, and you got 1, 2, this will be your third attempt to reverse the trend in a lethargic movement in a higher time frame blast. Wonder how that's going to work out. Right? So ideally sweeps underneath here and then boom. Your entry would be this trading through this open, and then your stop will be underneath. And you need this low to hold, this 5-minute low to hold. You're probably triggered in there if you're still trading, and you want this to respect this area now. Otherwise, you got this. Gross. Gross. I like that double bottom. The issue is that on this double bottom, you've got your CSD level here. You see the difference? You've got a double bottom here. Where's your CSD on this low? Right? It's there. You want a closure above that candle. Well, you got that pretty quick. Right? Here's your double bottom. Where's your CSD? It's all the way up here. Did we get it? No. Right? Do I think that this is still an aggressive trade worth taking? Yeah, I would have wanted to see a little bit more from that. But essentially what you're doing is you're trying to pick this bottom out. You're trying to pick that bottom out. We want this 5 to hold. You still got a minute and a half for that. Must get bigger magnets. Bzzzt. Bzzzt. ES just not giving any hopes. It actually tried sweeping that CSD area and failed, at least so far. So ES should at least take that low at 310. But it's pushing it away from it. No. No, we'll go full furu. See? 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 At some point this will fail, whether or not that's at 1050 or not. It would be gross if we needed another sweep, but that's obviously quite violent. I think you did very, very well to de-risk given this. Right? These violent bearish candles. I love the entry. Like, your entry is actually ridiculous. Right? So de-risking inside of this, which is probably how we should have played this as well. Right? But I was in with 1 mini, so I couldn't really do that. It did you dirty by a tick, eh? I think it goes for this low, and ES takes the AM low in tandem as well. But we'll see. That's gonna be gross if it rallies from there. Just a second dip without running anything. Ridiculous. VIX over 17. Woo! People started to make money from volatility. Good for them. Here it goes, 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 here it goes. There it goes. All right, so that 5 actually did close underneath, I believe. Oops, wrong chart. All right, so 5-minute valid high. Yuck. Might get a movement back into here, but not exactly what we want to see out of this this move. Still would want a higher time frame movement. Don't really like these bearish candles. And now there's no buying that's been able to be generated. Your CSD level is now here. All right. Yeah, giveaways tomorrow, lads. You guys are going to want to get to level 4 on school as well. Just throwing that out there. Just throwing that out there. Make sure that you guys are interacting over there as we're going to start dropping some stuff for those of you guys that are leveling up. Look at that candle. You now finally have, if it runs it out, then you got a CSD level, which would fly. A little bit climactic at least, which is nice. Accumulation, potentially drop. Your CSD level's up here though, so we'll expect a little bit lower, but anyway. We'll see you guys later on. Glad you guys are green. If you're green, for the love of God, walk inside of this range, this higher time frame range. See you guys later. Bye, 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 bye.